Okay, lesson 17, Kriya, the fifth Kriya exercise. It's called Nauli. We read from the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, chapter 2, Sutra 33. Then Nauli is described. With the shoulders bent down, one should rotate to the left, to the right and left, the stomach with the speed of a fast circling eddy. Siddhas call this Nauli. Nauli you can find on YouTube. Nauli is one of those kriyas that is not necessarily damaging, like Dauti, Vashti, and Neti, and Trataka, possibly, potentially. Nauli, if you can master that in the physical way, is pretty spectacular, because it is based on control of these two abdominal muscles, and by applying pressure on your legs, you roll them left and right while maintaining a vacuum. So you could argue that it is a massage for the intestines, for the digestive organs, the stomach, and all the organs that are in that area, like the pancreas and the gallbladder and what have you. So nothing really bad if you do this literally, but in terms of this framework, the logic, the step-by-step approach preparing us for pranayama, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't connect. So if we approach Nauli in the same way as we have done, based on energy, the movement of energy, then it starts making sense. Because we have become familiar with Shiva inflow and Shiva outflow, Shakti inflow and Shakti outflow. Then we learned the importance of mind control through Neti and Krataka. We were introduced to meditation, concentration meditation with Trataka. And now there is Nauli. And what Nauli does is it draws attention to our most important energy plant, energy factory, which is Manipura Chakra. Many things already I said about Manipura Chakra, because we discussed it last week. It was the main subject of one of the sessions. And because it is of so much influence on how we conduct ourselves in daily life. Because everything we do, say, even think is fueled or is initiated, I should say, in Manipura Chakra. Now this experiment is very interesting. Of course we've done this in every class, and I noticed that especially Korean people and Japanese people, they recognize this. And they say, oh, my grandma used to do this. We're going to do an experiment. This is not about the belly, it's about Manipura Chakra. Then the chakras, they spin. You see that symbolically, Ida and Pingala, they wind around the chakras. So they are like cogwheels. If the first one spins to the left, the next one spins to the right, and etc. Clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise. This exercise is designed to become conscious of the energy in Manipura Chakra. And not only that, to accelerate the energy in Manipura chakra. This is what we will do. After Dauti, Vashti, Neti, Trataka, we add the fifth Kriya, Nauli. And what you do is as follows. You put your hand on Manipura chakra, I do it with a finger, and you start spinning slowly in one direction, clockwise, anti-clockwise.
What is the name of this Kriya again, please?
Say again?
What is the name of this Kriya?
Nauli.
No.
Now, on a very subtle level, it's so subtle that people have to guess. But on a very subtle level, you either feel sattva or you feel a slight resistance. If you spin with the right direction, it will give a very, very subtle, very, very slight sense of well-being. It feels right. If you spin counterclockwise, however, whether that's left or right, I'm not going to tell you yet, you have to tell me. You feel a very slight, subtle sense of resistance. Maybe hair standing up in your neck, or a slight shiver. Things that we usually undergo subconsciously or unconsciously. In every class, we do this experiment, and when we're done with the meditation, I ask, which direction did you feel it spinned? Clockwise, put up your hand. Counterclockwise, put up your hand. The experiment shows that the majority of the class always has it right. And some people who doubt, who are not sure, okay, they will vote for the wrong direction. What this is about is becoming familiar with subtle energy, which is called subtle for a reason. It's very hard to detect for most people. For us, it's important because we're going to start energy control next week. There is no failure in this, because when you deal with the world of subtle phenomena, you often have to guess based on intuition, based on very subtle information that you receive, that you feel. You say, well, it's very likely this. With time, you become better and better at it. That's just the whole thing. Practice makes perfect. First, you need to discover it in the first place. Then you need to become more and more familiar with it, and then you become more and more accurate at it. But it shows that the majority of the people, although not sure, they do follow this very subtle, tiny little hunch that tells them it's probably that direction. Not sure, but it just feels that tiny little bit better. So let's give it a try. I will put the whole thing on the board again. We start with Dauti, swallowing a piece of cloth. We let it soak in the stomach before we pull it out. Then, Vashti, you suck up water through the anus, which you shake and then expel. So you have Shiva in, Shakti out. Shakti in, Shiva out. Then we had Neti, which made us aware of our intellect, our mind the possibility to think. And with Trataka, we expand that not just as awareness of the mind, but actually using that mind, starting to take control by learning one-pointed focus. The object for which we use nada in the center of the head. And you remember, it is a kind of a game that you play that makes it actual mind control. Because the mind is very fickle, very restless. There will inevitably, after a couple of seconds already, will be a distraction, a thought. A thought that normally goes subconscious, and therefore we are not aware of the distraction and go along with it. While we sit here with our eyes closed, being more alert, we notice at some point we are not focusing on nada anymore. Some thought is taking a run with us. The moment that you detect this, you step in and you say, no, not now. You detach from the thought and you simply go back to nada. And you do that a dozen of times, or hundreds of times. Just every time you detect that you are not with nada, but with another, a thought, a feeling, a memory, you simply step in and go back to nada. If you do this consistently, mind activity will indeed reduce. And that creates room for intuition to expand, for vision to awaken. Because these qualities of the crown chakra all are activated or become active in the silence that we create. The people who meditate regularly very naturally develop intuition, vision, wisdom. It's not something that you learn from a book. It's something that simply comes to you naturally in silence. Then we have Nauli. Manipura chakra. Is it spinning to the left or is it spinning to the right? Questions? Okay, let's have